Well, good morning or good afternoon, depending upon where you are. I am Dave Hunter, and I'm here to answer a lot of questions today. So far we've got about 27 people. I know this is going to be recorded, so we'll just kind of move into it and go through questions at a time. But let's just kind of go through some formalities. I'm Dave Hunter. I'm the owner of Crown Bees. As you should be aware, today's topic is harvesting mason bee cocoons. Okay, it's super easy. The reason we do this is to help us get healthier mason bees. What we've learned, I'm going to open up just, even here today, I'm going to open up a set of wood trays we have around us. I know there's pests inside there. It's going to get all over my desk. But if you don't wind up harvesting cocoons, when you've got this many bees in one tight space, pests move in. Just a fact of life. There's great pollen to be eaten. There's tasty bees to be eaten. And so when you have this many things in one tight space, it's eat and get eaten in the bee world. So harvesting might be a little intimidating at first. Oh my gosh, we're opening things up. We've got live cocoons. We're gonna have gross little crawly things. There's a lot of videos out there that we've shown what to do with all of these things. They're free. You can see them on our Crown Bees YouTube channel. So if you're new to harvesting or just need a refresher, just go check those things out. It's there for you. If you type in harvest on our Crown Bees channel, you'll find things just pop right up. Okay, so today isn't really a comprehensive how-to. Instead, we're going to use this time to ask any lingering questions that you might have. We received a lot of questions ahead of schedule, so I'm going to probably go through those 20 or so questions up front, and then on the back half, maybe the last half an hour, we'll just keep on answering whatever questions you have. So it's not just me. I've got two awesome teammates, Kim Lipke, Communications, and Kylie Sabra, Customer Service. They're both behind the scenes answering as many chats as they can. And then actually they're going to be, I'm not going to be focusing on those things. They're going to be feeding me the questions on a different piece. So I'll just see if I can focus on you. And I've got a lot of little things around me. I have cocoons. I have all sorts of goodies that will hopefully answer some tight questions. Okay, we're going to try to do our best to answer everyone's. But again, we're kind of focusing on harvesting. We're going to have other videos later on, or web streams later on, where we'll talk about exactly what to do, how to put things out, etc. So this is harvesting. Okay. First of all, why do we harvest? Okay. It honestly reduces the pests and diseases. Nature is working against so many things in one tight area that it's if you want more bees for your yard, actually even the underlying piece, why do we need pollination? Well, in your yard, there's things you want to have pollinated. So already nature probably doesn't have that many things normally needing pollination. So you're adding extra bees to your yard, and nature's working against the bees because there's so many of them. All of this says, if you want to grow more things, you'll probably need more bees, and we'll help you work to get more bees. Besides pests and diseases, this does allow you to understand how many cocoons that you've got in your hands. Okay, if you have too many, it allows you to say, I've got hundreds or thousands. If you've got an awful lot, we still recommend one nesting hole per cocoon. So if you have a lot, go share some bees with your extra friends. I mean, just teach them what to do. We'll help them out with the house and holes and everything, but give your extra cocoons to other people. If you still have leftovers, we've got this program called Bee Buyback. You can see it on our website under our programs, and we'd love to have your extra bees. And we have bees from Pennsylvania mailed to us. We mail them back to then other customers or nurseries out there in Pennsylvania farmland. So your excess bees goes towards other people so they can be successful. Okay, so harvesting. It's mostly opening holes up, whether you've got reeds, paper tubes, inserts that were put inside there, or wood trays. It's these are the types of holes that we recommend that you use because you can open them up. Opening. Okay. Next, the next important part is you've got just a pile of debris, cocoons and mud and pollen mites, all those different things. Washing and getting things kind of clean. And we have, we'll teach you how to, well, on our website, we teach you how to clean using a little clean bee at the tail end to get rid of excess diseases and viruses that sit on the outside of the cocoons. Really, chalk brood is one of those. And then lastly, you would then store your cocoons in a humidity into your fridge, and it's just a simple fact of you're just keeping your cocoons the metabolism as low as you can. When bees are out there in the wild, they've got right now a certain amount of stored fats. They keep this in their abdomen, certain amount of stored fats that they consume steadily over the winter into the spring. The colder the bee is, the slower their metabolism, they're lower in metabolism, the slower their consumption of these vital fats. So when you've got your bees really cold, they're able to last deep into spring. Rather, if it was warm, kept in your house, or just the temperature up and down, your bees could actually come out too soon or just run out of energy and die in your fridge. So, okay, ask any questions. Both Kim and Kylie will feed those questions to me. Okay, so first of all, thanks for everyone joining us. I'm going to dig right into to the first question. So, someone from Redmond in Washington. We have several concerns about the extreme past summer. Can mason bees survive several days of extreme heat? Oh my gosh, for those of you not living in the Northwest, that really upset me. My yard was damaged because of global warming. It was a concern to us that a bee during the summer is using the heat of the summer to develop into an adult bee. Okay, if you have excess heat, I think that kind of the bees are going a little harder, a little faster. They probably were finished faster into an adult bee, maybe 3 weeks, maybe 2 weeks ahead of schedule. So the sooner you get your bees into a cooler environment, the better off they'll be next year. If this occurs next season, your mason bees are already done. Okay, they've already finished. You just have larvae inside your little mason bee tubes. If it gets really hot, take them out, put them in your house just for that couple days. Simple little thing. Okay. Next question. Anonymous. I've seen the back of the tubes with mud, so mud back here, and then the front was finished with leaves. Like a mason bee started and a leaf cutter bee finished. Is this normal? And how do I go about harvesting the mason bees and keeping the leafcutter bees in the same tube? It's a great question when you're raising both types of bees. Picture what's going to happen in the spring. The mason bees are a spring bee. They're adult bee, and they overwinter as adult bees. They're going to come out first of spring. So when the dandelions show up, the mason bees are going to plow through. The bee in front of them is a summer bee, and they overwinter as larvae. So as these mason bees plow through, they're just killing all the leafcutter bees in front of them. Okay, that's what happens in nature. What I would recommend is opening things up, keeping the leafcutter bees just in a Tupperware or something like that in your garage or shed or someplace, so it's catching just normal ambient outside temperatures. They're going to stay. The leafcutter bee stays in larval form when the temps are below 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So not that big of a deal. Harvest all those ones. Just keep the leafcutter bees separate. Real easy. What's the correct way to clean nesting trays and the house before storing in the winter? This is Ann from someplace in Washington. Okay. There's consumables. So when you're opening up paper tubes or reeds, you're just throwing these into your compost pile. Simple. with wood trays, when we open these things up, and I'm just going to show the first little, okay, this this is full of just really gross stuff, okay? And I'm going to say, this is the Houdini fly all the way down there. Here's mason bees. This is pollen mites, okay? And that's all I see here, no chalk brood. It's real simple what we do. I'm scraping everything out with my, oh shoot, my cocoon comb is sitting out there. I'm cleaning my trays with our cocoon comb. Kim or Kylie, if you could put that a link inside there so they can just find that on the, thank you, appreciate that. So I'm just scraping these things out. The tail end, once you finish cleaning off your wood tray, they're still, get as clean as you can. I wouldn't over clean. When you drop your trays into water, the thickness of these little trays there are going to warp on you. So at best, just get as clean as you can using a stiff kitchen brush. And then if you found chalk brood, it's a little C-shaped old cadaver. It looks like a little letter C. Flick that out with something, and you're using Clean Bee is a source of, it's a HOCl. It's a wonderful little product that you can spray in your eye. I've done it. So it's real safe for us, but it kills spores, chalk brood, prions, diseases. If you just get a little thing of chalk brood just right there, flick it out, just spray locally right there, top and bottom where that chalk brood was. I think that's probably your best answer. Okay. What about those that have just drilled blocks of wood and hopefully inserts into these things? Well, since it's a drilled block of wood, you can't really, open a drilled block of wood, but you can pull the inserts out, and then taking care of inserts is super easy. You can either, these things are spiral wound, and typically they just tear open real easy, like just like this, and you're able to get to everything. Or, okay, this is what we do. If you have just the inserts, drop them into warm water, not cold, not hot, just kind of someplace in the middle. Leave them in there floating for 10 minutes. This glue dissolves, and you're just pulling strips of paper out, and the cocoons are floating. Cocoons can stay in water for, I don't know, an hour. They're waterproof. I wouldn't go that long, but that's probably the best way to handle inserts, pulling them out of wood trays. If you've got only wood trays, and I'm going to say, oops, similar to wood trays would be, these houses are brought in from Costco, made in China. The reeds here on the side, these are bamboo chunks. First of all, you really can't get them out. They're kind of stuck in there. And then step two, if you can get one out, they just don't open. Bamboo is just brutal. So what we're recommending doing, you've used it the first year, the bees are fine inside there this first year, but if you leave this alone year after year, the pests are going to build up, just what we're seeing here. They're going to build up more and more, and you can't do anything about it. First year, maybe your mason bees, I'm going to say 20% of the bees will die that first season. So 100 eggs were laid. This year, maybe pests got 20 of your bees. Not a big deal. That's natural. You do nothing. The following year, those 80 bees will come out. They're going to reuse these same pest-filled holes. So now we have 100 eggs again, might have been laid this year because the pests are still in there. Brood, you've got more Houdini flies around here. You're going to wind up with maybe 40 or 30. The third year you do this, you might wind up with 10 bees, and ultimately you have mudded over holes, nothing. So we highly recommend that you harvest if you want more bees. And we do have a video out there. Kim, if you can send them a link on, I did this on my porch, of how to take bees out of a structure like this. Essentially, you're putting it into a, in the spring, when the bees emerge, they're stuck inside this bee guard bag. You're able to see this. You're stopping the Houdini flies from coming out. You're smushing those. The bees are able to leave out of that bag that you're opening up just daily, and then no one, you can't, because this bag is there, no one can reuse this house. So it's a one-way exit. We call it moving day. Okay, that was a long story too. Let's see. And it's okay to have these bamboo houses the first year. They're low cost. They get you going. It's just year after year, you're going to wind up having your mason bees become less and less, leaf cutter bees or anything, just because there's so many holes in one space. Nature doesn't have it like this, and pests just are able to walk between all those holes. Okay. How to harvest if reeds are fixed in a bee house. I just talked about that, and the person was saying reeds. This isn't reeds. This is bamboo. Okay, and bamboo is just an awesome structurally sound reed or something. If I could get one of these things out, no, I can't really do it. They're all glued in. This house is, yep, I was going to try to do it. I was going to show you how hard. They're really, really hard. You can open a piece of bamboo with maybe a pair of pliers, maybe a Bowie knife, and just try to, or a Bowie knife, and try to push it on through there. But you're much easier just to let nature do its thing, and you can just transfer them with the bee guard bag. Anonymous person here. We had a lot of people from all different regions and climates ask, what is the best time to harvest mason bees? Could you provide general information on when is the earliest and latest you can harvest mason bees? Good question, Anonymous. The reason we're harvesting is because we're just trying to remove the pests from the cocoons. Simple. Okay. You want to do this prior to March, maybe, probably say more February. Reasoning, when you're opening things up in February, your bees have less stored fats, and the reason a mason bee is going to leave, so they're going to emerge from their little cocoon. If you haven't seen things, these are, this is a mason bee cocoon. Okay, so there's a live bee inside here. The reason that a bee is going to emerge from a cocoon, their stored fats are down maybe to like 20% left. Something vibrates around him, kind of maybe says, ooh, someone, friend in back of me is starting to leave. I hear, things are vibrating, or it becomes light. Any one of those little clues has your bees emerge before you want them to. So I'm going to say February 1st is about probably the last I would harvest. On the earlier side, probably mid-September maybe. The bees aren't quite all the way developed. They're metamorphosing from a squiggly little larva. Legs come, head comes, eyes come. Here's the wings. Finally, they become black or brown, depending on the species. Hair grows. Everything turns from white to their color, and then they become shiny, not dull. You can harvest earlier on. I just think the bees are more fragile at that stage. So I'd always kind of say maybe October. If you're in a hot country, maybe a little earlier, but I would kind of say October as the first date. Okay, switched from wood trays to cardboard tubes with inserts. Good. Since the inserts are pretty free of pests and fungus, can I just put the inserts into my humidity for the winter? So can you just put, can I just do this and be done? The answer is yes. You can put you can do whatever you want to. I can't come out to your house and stop you, okay? We recommend, because there's still other pests in here, you've got the Houdini flies, you've got chalkroot, pollen mites. If you don't harvest, you just wind up, yeah, you can cool them down. You're just going to wind up keeping the pests around. So we are a loose cocoon proponent. We think it's just wiser to, if you want more bees in your yard, then just remove the pests. If you want more vegetables in your garden, you remove the weeds, right? That's why we weed. Okay. In one of your videos, it said to separate cocoons from diseases and pests. Not having done this before, are diseases and pests obvious to spot once I crack the reeds open? Yeah. It's a good question. But when I just open this thing up, little pointer, there it is. When I open it, it's hard to see inside this tray. Clearly, these are cocoons. Here's a little mud ball. Here's cocoons. This black stuff on the back side over here is frass. But boy, this little mound right there, that's all pollen mites. Okay, they're just about, there's thousands of tiny little microscopic mites inside there. And this gross thing, this is sticky. Oh, it's all over my keyboard. They're gross little fly eggs, okay, or larvae. And this is the Houdini fly. Someone brought bees in from Europe. Thank you. Someone released the flies. There's no predators to the flies. Oh, gosh, they're real sticky. These are just little larvae, fly maggots, I guess. They stick on everything. They're now, because of that one person 5 or 6 years ago, Crown Bees was the ones that said, hey, we think there's something weird here. We talked with our peers out in Switzerland. They said, oh my gosh, you guys are good for you. You've got Cocoxus indicator is the stupid Houdini fly. It overwinters as a larva, okay? In the springtime, it's trapped between mud walls. It's really a cool insect. It changes into a almost adult, and these little flies, almost, they don't have any wings on them yet, push their heads into the mud wall, and they swell their hydraulics, and their head just gets a little bigger and pops out a little grain of mud, okay? And then they keep on working through the mud wall. This one little fly just swelling his head with this little hydraulic ramp. Really a cool insect until there's a hole through that mud wall, and it's the Houdini fly. Off they go into the next chamber and the next chamber, and then they became all flies, and they're now found in Oregon, Washington, BC. We've got the invasive species people kind of helping us out. It's now in New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, because people are spreading these. It's a really good idea to get rid of them. So when you find them, there's a whole bunch of, they're very sticky, and it's a bunch of orange frass, poop, that these guys throw them away. That's smush them, throw them away would be my best picture. Okay, that's what Houdini flies are, and this is why we harvest. Okay, just is using sand and a coarse sieve for cleaning cocoons better than water and bleach? I've heard it's far more effective at removing mites. Gordon. Oh, I can't believe I'm blowing this. There's a really great guy out of British Columbia, scientist, that developed this. Hey, just take a bunch of sand, mix it with your cocoons, and I actually put mine in a rock tumbler about 10 or so years ago. I'd just mix a whole bunch of sand and throw all my cocoons there in a rock tumbler, and the cocoons are really durable. It's just sand, and it would pull the pollen mites off the cocoons. In general, they're kind of clean. When we look at a microscope, those darn things were there still anyway. It's a small little mite, and they're just holding on like you wouldn't believe onto these cocoons. Look very smooth to you and I, but when you go down to the microscopic level, they're just lots of little silk fibers everywhere, and these hairy-footed mites just get their claws in there and just hold on tight. You really can't get rid of it. So rather than really get all upset, we just kind of let them exist because it's part of nature. And so I'm cleaning things. When we're using water, we're really just a high pressure water hose. These cocoons are just roiling in the water, and most things come off. So, I wouldn't overdo it. Okay. When cleaning the cocoons, how long should you soak the bees? Good question. It's a three-part question. So how long should you soak the bees? The reason we're putting the bees in water initially, the cocoons get stuck to mud. And it falls up. Mud sticks to them, and so you're letting the mud kind of dissolve. So maybe a minute or two or something like that. We use a colander, like you might be making applesauce in there, or maybe a strainer. When we put that strainer into the water, like I've got my tub in my sink is filled up with cold water. Okay, I've got my strainer put into that, so my cocoons are going to go over, and I'm just spraying the crud out of these cocoons, and they're just rolling, and I'm able to lift it up and have most of the debris, the cocoon, or not cocoons, the mud, the pollen mites, those things just kind of fall through the side holes. Do as best you can. Nature does have them there, so don't overdo it. It's not going to be a big deal. Then they say, is the bleach mixture talked about in other videos really safe for cocoons? And if so, what is the mixture ratio? Bleach is a really caustic chemical. Don't get it in your eyes. It's not built. It kills most everything. Talking with Teresa Pitzinger is one of the lead researchers out at the Logan Bee Lab years ago with the industry that we founded, Orchard Bee Association. Hey, Teresa, she's awesome researcher. Teresa, what can I use instead of bleach? Because I just don't want to put caustic stuff on my cocoon. She goes, dude, Dave, nothing. You've got this thing called chalk root. It's just a spore that just. Then, okay. There is a company near me in Woodinville, Briotech, and they've got this product that kills COVID, kills every type of spore you can think of, Ebola, anthrax. It kills all those things. You can spray in your eye. Our bodies have HOCl in them. It doesn't harm it. It's a really wonderful compound. We've been able to work with them and get a modification of that so that it just kills diseases and chalk brood found on a cocoon. So it's a little expensive. We're not saying use this liberally, but we'll talk about the tail end. We do want you cleaning with something less caustic. You could use bleach. It's cheap. It's there. It's just I don't like messing with my cocoons. And I used to do it. My bees came fine. I'm just trying to be more of a good citizen. Once you harvest the bee cocoons and clean them, what is the best way to store them and what type of container? So years ago, you make mistakes when you're young. Years ago, as my company just started out, I guess 13 years ago, I had all my cocoons stored in a shed out there cold, and then I brought them into a fridge on just a cookie sheet, and not realizing that my refrigerator is a frost-free mechanism that dehydrates things. That's why celery becomes limp. Everything. So it dehydrates things. So in May, I'm selling bees for the first year. Everything. I had some bees left over. I put them outside. None of them were alive. I had dehydrated all of them. Okay. I'm an engineer by degree, so could I come out with something really low cost? And really, this hasn't changed much. This is just a container, has a couple little holes on the top of it. I've got, I put my cocoons in here. Our humidity bees store maybe about 1,500 cocoons. And just once a month, I'm just taking a spoon and just dropping in a spoonful of water. The dry pad keeps them dry. This green pad down below here kind of absorbs the water, and it's just an environment that works. We also have, in case you're wondering, we've got a really cheap. This is just a humidity gauge and a temperature gauge. I would keep that in there. You're trying to keep your humidity Um, Above 30, 35% would be where you'd kind of want to do that. If it's above 70, you're now kind of maybe getting into the mold situation. So I think how to do it, something similar to this. Whether you buy it from us or make it on your own, this is what we recommend. How long can you keep your mason bees in the fridge? I just cleaned and put them in the vegetable drawer. It's October, with the idea to bring them out at the beginning of March. That's over 4 months in the fridge. Will they be okay? Great question. That's kind of what we do. Um, Realize, refrigerators are frost-free environments, and they're going to try to dehydrate things. So the crisper drawer with maybe you're always getting, if you didn't want it, this is so low cost. We really have it as a low cost item. Something with a wet sponge or something. You're just trying to keep it moist. The cooler the bee, the longer they survive in a fridge. Mason bees, they're a bug. They're not a person. Okay, they survive up fine in British Columbia, minus 10 degrees Fahrenheit or Celsius. The bees they have different characteristics. So you can really put them super cold. I wouldn't put them in a freezer per se. Those are really cold. But down to, I would keep your bees around 34 to 37 degrees Fahrenheit. I think that's probably the best. And if it's warmer, the bees will just consume their stored fats a little faster. And if you want to put them out in March, I'd say that's just fine. If you want to put them out late April, you're going to find bees just coming out in your fridge because they ran out of energy. Okay. When I pulled the cocoons from the fridge in May, okay, interesting. To my surprise, a few had hatched, and as I opened the humidity up, a couple more hatched. What might have happened? It's a question out of Portland, Oregon. Dude, okay. May is really, really late. So these bees are in here. Right now, their fuel tanks are 100%. Okay. And by December, their fuel tanks are made of stored fats, lipids, 70, 60%. And then by March, stored fats are maybe 10 to 20%. By end of April, you're typically on gas fumes. And by May, if you kept your refrigerator really cold, maybe the bees could last into May. But really, by May, they need to come out. And so the reason they came out in the fridge is I ran out of energy. And mostly the boys will come out first because come out or die. So they'll come out in your fridge. Your females can last longer, but to survive, instead of using their stored fats, they're now consuming the eggs in their body. So we have, by accident, left bees, found them in one of our coolers in December. Oh my gosh, open them up, and a few of the bees came out of there, but 4 or 5 of the mason bees were still alive out of 100, but they can really survive a long time in a fridge. I just would May 1st, take them out. Okay, several cocoons didn't open up last spring when I put them out. I'd say a quarter of their 50 cocoons. Any thoughts of why this happened? It's a question out of Portland, Oregon. I'm gonna get a little technical on you. One, the bees might not have survived somehow. Maybe they dehydrated that, so that could have been the situation. We learned, this is talking with lead scientists in the nation, Jordi Bosch, Bill Kemp. Jordi is now in Spain. These wonderful, wonderful scientists. They wrote the book Orchard Mason Bees or something like that 12 years ago, 15 years. Wonderful book. So we found, Piers and I found that some of our bees weren't coming out. Hey, Bill, Kemp, what's going on? We had a bunch of scientists on the call and a couple of my peers, and we're trying to find out. This is interesting. This is technical. When a bee changes from a larva to an adult bee, they finish and are completely done. So shiny, hairy wings are all formed. There's a bee. Okay, they had been surviving by converting their body through metamorphosis into this cocoon body. Okay. 3 weeks later, they are transitioning from how they absorb, how they survive. It takes them 3 weeks to then change into, I now survive off my stored fats in my abdomen. That 3-week window, if you put your bees to bed too soon, They just don't come out. Oh, okay. So here at Crown Bees, we're very careful. When our bees are finished, end of September, maybe early October, we keep them around 55, 60 degrees, kind of outside temperatures. And then as we move in through October, we're not forcing them right away into refrigerator. We're at our place, taking those 3 weeks and just slowly bringing the bees down. So today our bees are sitting at 50 degrees. On Monday, it's going to be 45 degrees. Following Monday, 40, then 35. So we're trying to kind of watch nature. So here's my statement. Depending upon where you live, it's important that you don't put them to a refrigerator right away. Just wait a little bit. Okay, next question. How is it important that you have 50-50 female males when you set the bees out in the spring? Nature in general has, when you're looking at these trays, the back of the tray was back here. You can see the mudded ends. The back of the tray was over here. Okay, so the females, as they're gathering their pollen, laying their eggs, they fertilize the eggs on the inside. Those are females. So fertilized egg is a female. And as you get closer towards the outside, not 50% of the way through, maybe 40% of the way through, they start converting into, these are all males. So unfertilized eggs are males on the outside. Males are less valuable than females. Birds are able to peck in. If they're looking for something, they're typically getting the males. So nature naturally has the bees at a 4 females to 6 male ratio. How you can see these physically, God, pollen mites are just everywhere. Foul little things. A female knows she's going to lay, a queen knows she's going to lay a female egg. So she's gathering more pollen. And so a pea-sized bit of pollen back there has that female egg fertilized on there. A male egg, less valuable. They're maybe giving them half the pollen needed. They're just there to mate. 2 weeks later, they're dead. So males are a little more expendable. So the larger, the size of the pollen ball is directly proportional to how big your cocoon is going to be. So a large cocoon is a female, typically. A small cocoon is a male. So I'm going in here and grabbing, just 2 little cocoons here. See on one hand, so there's big and little. So this is female, this is male. And sometimes, if it's rainy out there around you and there's not a lot of pollen there, all the pollen's being washed out by the trees, the mason bees are grabbing whatever pollen they can. You're going to have medium-sized females and tiny males. And sometimes sometimes you have large, I mean, it's a bee, they're just doing what they want. Sometimes you have large things and small things that are the wrong way, but in general, large cocoons are females, small cocoons are males. Okay, next question. How do you keep mason wasps from overtaking wood nesting trays? Do you have any pictures of what the wasps look like so that I can share what I'm dealing with? It's a great question. Thanks, whoever you are, thanks for asking it. When we look at the nation's 4,000 species of bees, well, worldwide, 24,000 species of bees, okay? About 1,000 species, about a quarter of them nest in holes. There's large bees, there's tiny little bees. I mean, there's way different sized bees out there, okay? And nature just doesn't exclusively have the bees only using holes. There are other critters out there that use these holes well. Wasps, solitary wasps will also use these same nesting holes, okay? These solitary wasps are, we call them the soldiers of your yard. So the farmers of the yard are your bees. They're spreading the pollen, making food. The soldiers of your yard are solitary wasps. They're good guys, okay? In your yard, you want things eating things. So they grab aphids, they grab caterpillars, they grab a whole bunch of stuff from your yard and stuff them into, oh, look, here's holes, okay? You'll see different types of cocoons as you open these things up. I see in front of me, I know these are two different types of cocoons here. This bigger one is a brown cocoon, okay? This is a blue orchard mason bee. And in the same little pile is a silvery cocoon. This is a horn-faced, it's a Japanese bee that came in from the 80s and it's kind of spread, it's naturalized. They're both mud-using bees. There are bees that use leafy bits, chewed up leafy bits, resin from trees. If you're down there in the desert, there are bees that gather their pollen, lay their egg, and seal the chamber with cactus pulp or creosote. And there's just all of these cool bees and wasps using your holes. So my 2 cents would be, I kind of went long on this, let your yard be your yard. If you've got solitary wasps, if you don't really know what they are, if they came during the summer, it's a summer something. It could be a summer bee, it could be a summer wasp. I probably would leave them alone. You've opened them up, maybe close them back up and keep those outside as a larva and just celebrate the fact that they're a wasp and they're out there gathering crud from, could be spiders, could be, anything. There's wasps that gather soft-sided critters and the wasps that gather hard-sided critters. And you'll find you'll find grass wasps, and some really cool wasps out there. So we do have on our Kim, if you could put in the we've got a pictorial guide of what you can find inside your cocoons or inside your trays. Kim, if you could post that, it's a wonderful pictorial guide, and we're still adding to it. Someone this week sent us. It's a bullet-shaped little cocoon. I've seen it before. What is it? We got the name of it. I don't recall it. Teresa Pittsinger said, "Oh, Dave, let me go reach out to my scientists." And so we got that thing named. It'll be on our website. So, okay. If you're making your own mason bee home, what are the best materials to use for the house structure? Is there any way to guarantee the mason bees will accept and live in this home? Build it and they come. If you're going to go out and DIY, the house just keeps the nesting holes dry. We're trying to be as good citizens of the planet as possible, so we're trying to eliminate all the plastic. But if you've got a bottle or anything keeps the stuff dry. So whatever you've got, we use cedar because it looks nice. When your house shape is however, whatever it is, but I would give yourself 2 inches of overhang between the face of the nesting holes, nesting tubes, and the outside element. So do that. And is there any way to guarantee that mason bees will accept and live in the home? Build it and they come is a good path. Okay. What we've learned, nature used to have these bees all over the place. Okay. Humans have moved in and we've removed the trees that these bees used to nest in. So the old scaggy trees we don't want to have fall over on our homes, we've taken all those things out. Those were awesome bee houses, okay? We've taken those out. We've taken away some of their nesting materials. So a bee that uses clay, if there's just lawn and asphalt and house, then the bees that used to be there may not be there anymore. The last little piece that kind of impacts this, God, if you're out there spraying lawn treatment or whatever you're doing, chemical smells, bees smell these things. They smell with their antennas mostly. Just fly away. Okay. So if you are looking to build like by all means, keep your money, try it out. Small, medium, and large. So 4 mil, 6 mil, 8 mil holes. You can make them out of wrapped up paper. You can find reeds in your yard. You can find Japanese knotweed. You can take a sunflower stalks and kind of take a drill bit and you can make your own holes. There's nothing magical about what we do. And then if they don't come, maybe wait a year or two. If they don't come, then come back to us. And we've got bees, and we've got little postcards. Kim, I don't know if you finished yet. We're gonna make little postcards that you can just hand off to your neighbor that says, "Hey, you guys, we're nesting bees. Would you mind waiting a month before you start spraying your stuff and sending all my bees elsewhere? Like my bees will be, pollinating your yard as well." Yeah, we're trying to have nature be a little better than that. If chalk brood that infects mason bees, the same chalk brood that infects honeybees? Okay. Honeybees have a thing called foul brood, and I think foul brood is a spore. The technical term is Aspergera. Here I'm brutalizing this. Aspergera. Okay, spore. Take a couple grains of this spore, and it's just like take the mushroom and you kind of poke the top off, and there's all these little black little things, just dusty. 1 or 2 grains of that spore in pollen that the larva eats on the walls of the house or in the pollen, that spore matches the chemistry of that species of bee, and then the bee just becomes a breeding ground for that spore. So spore and bee have evolved to work together nicely to spread the spore, and it'll then, the whole larva freezes into a letter C. The spore just continues to eat it through, and then you've got this friable shell around there. That spore is different. It only matches, Osmia lignaria, our blue orchid. There's a different spore that impacts leafcutters. There's different spores that impact different bees out there. And what we find is that when we're, scientists are grabbing bees out of flowers and looking at all the things on the underside of those bees, man, there's just 10 or something different spores that impact 10 or so different species of bees. They're like the honeybee, as they visit hundreds of flowers a day. They're spreading those spores to impact more and more bees out there. Okay. So we're trying to use clean bee to kill that spore, so we get more of, so you get more of that bee. I don't have a wire screen to separate larvae from other stuff. What is an alternative method? As we're not talking about harvesting per se, but when you've got your, we'll use our Costco piece as an example, trying to put an envelope around here of something that stops birds from getting through. We've learned that 3/4 inch is probably about the best size. Birds can't get through, and the bees can get through. If you go down to 1/2 inch, the bee wings as they go through start fraying on that surface. So 3/4 is about the right size. If you can't get that, maybe get chicken wire and maybe double overlap that or something like that. So you've got, I'm trying to guess at that. Another thing you can do, we're learning, if you take your nesting material and actually turn them sideways so their holes are facing this way, we've really, honestly, I've learned that when I take wood trays at my house, raising bees, and instead of going this way, this summer, okay, I tried it again. I have a lot of bees at my house. There's big leaf maples, and they're always just going back and forth. I put a whole bunch of trays, set it this way. I faced them in about maybe 1 inch apart. So I had maybe like 6 like that. And then I had 4 of my 96 holes trays facing out. Almost all of the bees nested facing inwards. It must be that birds don't get to them or something. I don't know. So another source would be, if your house is wide enough to turn your nesting holes, instead of facing out, maybe have them facing the wall. Now, the only hassle with that is you don't have, you can't see what's going on, but okay, and Kim is, we have time for one last question. It's only 10:50, Kim. Do you have what type of bees survive in southern Nevada? Out of the 1,000 species of bees that nest in North America that are mason bee type bees, whole cavity nesting bees, the bees that we sell, the spring masony blue orchard, is found in every state but maybe Florida and the southern, and maybe along the panhandle, maybe the southern edges of Louisiana and Mississippi, just too humid down there. But in general, your bees, the mud using bees we have is found everywhere. We've also got our leaf cutter bee that does super well in hot temperatures. My dad lives in Palm Desert, it's 120. The bees are flying in 115 just fine. So those two bees are bees that we carry. For really southern Nevada, I'm going to say you could try our bees or just build it when they come. See if you've got small, medium, or large holes out there and see what type of bees that you've got. Okay, 10:50. No other questions. We've still got 49 people in line. Is there anything? Okay, we're done talking harvesting since no one else has a harvesting question. You've got me for 10 more minutes. Ask a question. And I can be quiet. Or maybe you guys will solve it. Let me, couple of things. We are going to be, this is recorded, so you can come see this thing later on, caught about it. If you haven't, I'm sure you've visited our new website. It's amazing. Kim was our primary person that rewrote our entire website. It's just succinct and it looks really nice. Kylie is our customer service. We rewrote our whole help desk, and honestly, we're there. It's fun to be in a company with a bunch of experts. Website just zings, and we're able to respond to any questions pretty quickly. So, at least know that we're here to help you out. Oh, one more question. Do you have any? Do you have to answer my questions about the plastic nesting material all fused together? Oh, a peer of ours out of Canada has. No, let me not be mean. Bees aren't used to humans, okay? And they're looking for nesting holes of the right size that fits their species. So they'll go into plastic drinking straws if that's the only thing they can find because their trees are missing. And the only problem with plastic is, one, you can't get the bee out. Okay, two, we find that pollen mixture that's in there is typically a wet, moist pollen. In nature, in reeds, in wood trays, and paper, that excess moisture wicks away into the nesting material. If it doesn't, you've got plastic all around it, you get moldy bees. An awful lot of times you get moldy bees. So my 2 cents would be similar to bamboo. I would maybe shift away from that product to something that is more natural to bees, where you're going to be more successful. And we do that with that moving day email that was out there. Okay, I think that's it. So you can keep on asking questions. I don't really have anything that. Okay, Kim keeps on adding questions to my pile. All right, really honestly, you have a question, it's getting fed live to me. So how far does Clean Bee go? We use it's not cheap stuff, okay? What we do with our cocoons in the we're washing our cocoons in cold water and nothing. We're just brutal with a spray, and we've got a mixing master that goes in really slow, and it's a mixer, okay? And we're and the bees are fine. It sounds slow, okay? Bees are fine, and they come out really relatively clean. With the Clean Bee, what we're just doing, last little parts, I'm just spraying this on. I've got all my cocoons kind of laid out on my table in front of me, and I'm just misting 6 or 7 or 8 times onto the surface of my cocoons, rolling them around, and then spraying again. And pretty much you're wiping out most of the spore that could be on there, or deforming virus might be on there. There's some little gross things on the outside of cocoons. That's it. I would then, instead of liberally spraying this amongst your trays, just spray that one little cell on that tray. That, here was my chalk brew was right there in that little spot. I'm just spraying, kind of getting it super wet on the tray above it and this tray here, just getting it doused. That's all I'm doing. So Clean Bee should last you, I'm saying should last you a couple seasons if you use it wisely, but it's a really good product. And the company here, oh my gosh, they're using this for COVID across the world. You can clean your surgery center with mistiness without having to wear caustic equipment. It's wicked. And the neat thing about this formulation is it has this life expectancy of 5 or 6 years. So it does go a long time. Okay, wait. and she's typing. On the if you have excess cocoons, okay, how many cocoons should you keep? In a normal yard, if I start around me, if I start with a couple hundred cocoons and I've got good clay, I've got good pollen out there, in a normal yard, I think 200 cocoons is a great amount. Any more than that, then you're having to get extra nesting holes. But 200 could easily fill up this tray. This tray was completely filled with 225 bees. Some of the bees disappeared to a neighbor's yard and nested someplace else, but a lot of the bees nested in that tray. That gave us about 500 or 600 bees, minus all the pollen mites and the Houdini flies, etc. in there, okay? So if you're keeping 200, honestly, pass some to other friends of yours to get them started. And then we honestly need your cocoons as we grow our company. We're trying to teach good things. Our company is looking to get more and more bees into more and more people's hands. More and more yards will be a little less chemically. We think these little cocoons are a good bridge to a better world. And surprisingly, you guys are all learning this, you get more food when you have bees that pollinate. So I guess that's it. I'm going to close this thing down. If you have other questions, Kylie, sometimes she reaches out to me to answer. Kylie is awesome at answering things. On our whole website, you can, bottom of the corner is a little leafy something. Click on that, and there's a little chat bot, something like that in there. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Our Be Knowledgeable section is it is anything we learn from our researchers, we rewrite and put onto there. Okay, so it's the latest. And I'm saying this real nicely, if something contradicts what our website says, I'm gonna firmly say that we're right. We work with researchers. We care about the bees. Our company founded the Professional Mason Bee Organization, Orchard Bee Association. We really know what we're talking about. Okay, so I would look to us as I'm flatly saying we are the experts in this specific species. So go there. The bee mail, if you got here without knowing about bee mail, Kim writes it. She's really good. We're trying to also, we're trying to not just tell you what to do nicely, but we're also trying to have you learn more about sustainable practices, and we're on this same walk. So thanks, enjoyed it. You can ask questions later on by either hitting that leaf down there or just send us an email to info@crownbees.com. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.